So yesterday we were talking about how we are to use our freedom and not as a pretext for evil. And then in chapter 3 of 1 Peter, we have this wonderful description of how we are to love one another and treat one another. And our verse of the day is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. And listen to these qualities that Peter mentions and think of how frequently we have heard these brought forth in the teaching of Jesus and the writing of Paul and other books in the New Testament as we've gone through. 1 Peter 3:8, he says, "Finally, all of you have unity of spirit, sympathy, love for one another, a tender heart, and a humble mind." Who wouldn't want to be part of a Christian community where there was unity of spirit, sympathy, love for one another, tender hearts, and humble minds? I'd want to be a part of a church like that, wouldn't you? And I also find this verse challenging, though, because I often think of, would people who are not yet Christians, would they describe our church this way? Would they describe people who are in the public eye who claim to be Christian or say they're Christian? Are they characterized by unity of spirit, sympathy, love, a tender heart, and a humble mind? Again, as I've mentioned many times in these devotions, I sadly think there are many people in the public eye who say they're Christian, and these qualities just aren't there. Certainly not in their behavior, not in their speech. And perhaps the reason why we hear verses like this so often in the New Testament is because it's so hard for us as sinful human beings to actually do this. And yet this is what we are called to. And this whole section that in 1 Peter chapter 3, part of it is really about being willing to suffer for doing what is right, for living in a way even if the broader culture, our people in power, disparage having sympathy, having love for one another, a tender heart, and a humble mind. Don't let your heart get hardened towards other people. That was one of the huge issues with Pharaoh in the story of the Exodus. His hardened heart prevented him from responding to God. Don't be that way. Have a tender heart. And also stay away from arrogance. One of the podcasts I really enjoy listening to is run by a man named Mark C. Crowley, and it's called Leading from the Heart. And he always asks his guests a series of questions towards the end. And one of them is, what is the leadership quality that derails the most people? And without fail, the number one answer is arrogance. And as Christians, that's not to be who we are. So I encourage you, as you go throughout this day, check yourself. Let these be little guides for you. Unity of spirit, sympathy, love for one another, a tender heart, a humble mind. What a blessing to be a part of a church with hundreds of people striving to embody those qualities.